I want you to guess a number, not the price of a luxury SUV, not a truck. A Honda CR-V, the car your parents probably bought because it was the safe, sensible choice. $43,645. That's what the top trim actually costs right now. A few years ago, you could drive home in a brand new CR-V for under $28,000. That's a $15,000 jump on one of the most practical vehicles in America. And here's what almost nobody's telling you about the 2027 model. It's basically unchanged. Same engine. Same design, same everything, except the price, which is climbing again. But before you write this off as just another expensive car story, stick with me because by the end of this video, I'm going to show you one specific trim that's practically a trap dressed up as a good deal, and one pricing move that could genuinely save you thousands of dollars if you know to ask for it. Most reviewers skip both of those details completely. I'm not going to. If you're new here, this channel breaks down the real numbers behind the newest vehicles hitting the market, not just the marketing, but what you're actually getting for your money. If that sounds useful to you, hit subscribe, because today's breakdown might change which trim you were planning to buy. Let's establish why this even matters. The Honda CR-V isn't some niche vehicle. It's one of the best-selling SUVs in America, consistently trading positions with the Toyota RAV4 for the top spot in the compact SUV segment. For over 2 decades, it's built its reputation on being the safe, sensible, practical choice. The vehicle people buy specifically because it doesn't ask hard questions about value. That reputation is exactly why the pricing trend matters so much. When a value-focused vehicle starts creeping toward luxury territory, it's not just a CR-V story. It's a signal about where the entire industry is heading. So let's find out exactly what you're actually paying for in 2027, starting with what Honda changed or didn't. Here's the part that's going to frustrate some buyers. Almost nothing is changing. The current CR-V generation launched for 2023, and Honda handled its major mid-cycle update for the 2026 model year, adding the Trail Sport hybrid trim, expanding standard safety features, and giving the infotainment system a significant overhaul. Because that heavy lifting already happened, the 2027 CR-V is expected to carry forward largely unchanged. Same 7-trim lineup, same powertrain choices, same overall design. The engine lineup stays consistent across the range. A 190 horsepower 1.5-liter turbo for the gas models, a 204 horsepower 2-liter hybrid system, and a plug-in hybrid fuel cell variant producing 174 horsepower. Styling carries over 2 slim LED headlights, a bold grille, and the boxy, space-maximizing proportions that have made the CR-V one of the roomiest vehicles in its class. So to be clear, you're not getting a redesign in 2027. You're getting the same vehicle Honda has been selling, just 1 year later at a slightly higher price. Now let's actually put numbers on that because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Now let's get into the numbers, because this is where the too expensive question really starts to bite. The 2027 CR-V is expected to open at roughly $31,000 for the base LX trim with front-wheel drive, closely tracking the 2026 pricing. Since Honda has confirmed no major changes for the model year. That sounds reasonable on its own, but almost nobody actually buys the base LX. Move up to the XL trim, which adds leather upholstery, a powered tailgate and parking sensors, and you're looking at around $35,000 to $36,000. Want the hybrid system with its roughly 40 mpg combined fuel economy? The Sportel hybrid lands around $38,000 to $39,000. And if you want the fully loaded Sport Touring hybrid, the trim with essentially everything Honda offers, you're paying north of $43,000. Based on where the outgoing 2026 model priced out. For context, that top trim alone costs more than some entry-level luxury SUVs from competing brands. And remember, this is still fundamentally a compact SUV with a 4-cylinder engine, not a full-size 3-row vehicle, not something with a V6, not something wearing a premium badge. So where does your money actually make sense? Let's break down exactly which trim is worth it, and which one is quietly the biggest trap in this entire lineup. Here's where I have to give credit where it's due, because not every trim in this lineup is a bad deal, you just have to know where to look. The XL at roughly $35,000 to $36,000 is genuinely the smart middle ground in the gas lineup. You get leather, a power tailgate, and parking sensors without stepping fully into hybrid pricing. If fuel economy matters more to you, the Sportel Hybrid at around $38,000 to $39,000 delivers that 40+ combined MPG rating along with a similarly well-equipped leather-trimmed cabin, and the fuel savings alone can offset the price premium over the gas XL within roughly 4 years of typical driving, according to industry buyers' guides. Where things get genuinely questionable is at the very top of the range. The Sport Touring Hybrid pushes past $43,000, and a lot of what you're paying for at that level is incremental, additional trim pieces. A slightly more premium cabin feel, rather than any meaningful jump in capability or technology over the Sportel. But that's not even the trim I promised you at the start. There's one specific version of this SUV that markets itself as adventure-ready, and the reality doesn't match the price tag at all. There's one trim in particular that deserves its own call-out, the Trail Sport Hybrid. It's positioned as the rugged, off-road capable version of the CR-V, complete with all-terrain tires and an enhanced all-wheel drive system. It sounds appealing if you want a CR-V that can handle a dirt road or a light trail. But here's the catch: unlike the genuinely rugged Trail Sport versions of the larger Honda Passport and Pilot, the CR-V's Trail Sport skips the skid plates and other hardware that actually make a vehicle capable off-road. You're mostly paying for tires and badges, at a starting price north of $40,000. If off-road capability is genuinely important to you, that's a meaningful gap between the marketing and the reality, and it's exactly the kind of detail that gets lost in a quick dealership pitch. So is Honda just being greedy here, or is this happening across the entire segment? Let's find out. It's worth putting this pricing in context against the CR-V's direct competition, vehicles like the Toyota RAV4, Hyundai Tucson, and Subaru Forester, all of which compete in roughly the same price bracket. The honest answer is that none of these compact SUVs are cheap anymore. Across the entire segment, prices have crept upward year after year, driven by rising material costs, more standard technology, and in some cases, the added cost of hybrid and plug-in hybrid components. The CR-V isn't uniquely overpriced compared to its rivals, but that's arguably the bigger story here. The entire affordable compact SUV category is quietly becoming a lot less affordable, one modest annual increase at a time. Now, remember that pricing trick I promised you at the start. Here it is, because the 2027 CR-V is a carryover year with no major changes. Outgoing 2026 inventory is where dealers are often most willing to negotiate, since they need to clear that stock before the 2027 models fully take over the lot. If the 2027 pricing feels too steep, asking specifically about remaining 2026 units, especially in that XL or Sportel hybrid trim, is one of the simplest ways to get essentially the same vehicle for meaningfully less. So is the 2027 Honda CR-V too expensive? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on which trim you're looking at. The base LX and mid-tier XL remain genuinely reasonable for what you get with reliability, safety, and class-leading practicality at a price that's still in line with the rest of the segment. But once you climb toward the Sport Touring Hybrid or the Trail Sport, you're paying a meaningful premium for features that don't always match the price tag. Especially if off-road capability is the reason you're buying that trim in the first place. My honest recommendation based on the numbers, the XL or Sportel Hybrid gives you the best balance of value and features. Anything above that, you're paying for polish more than substance. And if you take nothing else from this video, remember that 2026 leftover trick. It might be the single most useful thing here. So tell me, do you think a compact SUV should ever cost over $40,000? Or has this segment officially priced itself out of affordable? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely read every single one. If this breakdown helps you when you're negotiating at the dealership, hit like, subscribe for more honest vehicle breakdowns like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.